Good evening. I'm Eric Malinsky, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 7th annual BostonFIG Fest here at MIT. It's a huge honor for me to be here tonight. I went to junior high and high school just at the other end of Memorial Drive, so these are my teenage stomping grounds, and I can tell you where to have gotten the best pizza in the 1990s. I was an expert in that. So, if you don't know me, let's see if I can get it from on here. I'm aiming it this way. There we go. Whoop. I'm scared to touch this thing. This is still new. Anyway, so I'm a public radio reporter, and a few years ago I started a podcast called Imaginary Worlds, where I really wanted to take fantasy genres and science fiction as seriously as everything else that public radio covers, culturally speaking. And I always say that Imaginary Worlds is a show about how we create them and why we suspend our disbelief. And obviously, games are a big part of that in terms of the creation is fascinating, and the suspending of disbelief requires incredible skills. I've interviewed designers of Wizards of the Coast, and being from Boston, I have a really hard time not saying wizards, but Wizards of the Coast about world building with cards, with Magic the Gathering. I've talked with video game animators at Naughty Dog about how they avoid the uncanny valley. And I'm really excited about the way that indie game developers have created a renaissance in game design, just putting their heart and soul into worlds and game mechanics that we've never seen before. So it is great that tonight we can all come together and recognize some of the outstanding work that designers and developers have brought to show us today. We'll award the most deserving creators for their talent, their passion, their hard work, including the games that you chose after seeing them here. And we'll talk about what makes each one shine and why they make the gaming community all the better because of what they've shared with us. So, to start off, hey, look at that. To start off, we'll be presenting the Tabletop Award for the most dynamic game. One of the most important aspects of a tabletop game is the interactions that players have, not just with the game itself, but with each other. And whether you're playing a powerful wizard, casting spells at your opponent, or spies working together on a mission, or playing a traitor that needs to be uncovered, tabletop games have an unusual way of allowing us to step outside who we are and interact with each other in surprising ways, both cooperatively and competitively. The most dynamic category recognizes games that force players into new and unique interactions, exploring how we react to each other within the context of a game. So to present this award, I'd like to introduce an active member of the Boston indie board game scene. He's a member and a former leader of the Game Makers Guild. He's also been involved with BostonFIG for many years, and he was our first ever winner of Best in Show for his game Or, which is coming out soon. Please welcome Joe McClintock.
So, cool, that worked. A number of phenomenal games have been presented to us this year, and from those, the following have been selected as nominees for Most Dynamic Game. Oh boy, that worked. Beneath Nexus is an asymmetrical dungeon crawling card game. Storm the city of Nexus as a brave hero, or defend the cursed treasure within as a blight lord of Nexus. Crumbs. Finally, it's what you've always wanted. A game that allows you to play as park animals fighting over crumbs in a city park. Feed on the fear of your enemies and smite them with your mighty animal abilities so that you may gain the favor of the local granny, and thereby more tasty crumbs. And finally, Schism is a trick-taking game where you are trying to impress the most influential citizenry into joining your burgeoning congregation. But beware, by posting decrees, your opposition can change the rules of the game at any time. So, the winner of the Tabletop Award for Most Dynamic Game goes to Schism.
thing scares me.
He's always scared.
Yeah. Our next presentation tonight will be the Digital Award for Compelling Game Mechanics. This category celebrates games that craft player experiences, offering unique solutions to the question, what makes for engaging gameplay? The most remarkable games in this category are those that breathe fresh life into a genre, surprise players with interesting gameplay choices, or opt to break the mold entirely. They are games that focus on constructing a fun experience with satisfying interactions that drive people to keep on playing. The presenter for this award is a designer at Harmonix, where he has worked for over a decade on the development of uniquely interactive games like Rock Band and Fantasia, Music Evolved. Please welcome Dan Bruno.
Compelling game mechanics is an interesting category that challenges us to look at games that really drive players to consider new methods of gameplay. The outstanding nominees in this category are Brackets, a devilishly simple puzzle game, hiding more complex game mechanics. Connect brackets to find the maximum score and unlock new, intriguing pieces as you progress. Depths of Sanity. Uncover the horror that lies beneath in this underwater Metroidvania. Explore the depths of the ocean, uncovering secrets and upgrades to defeat the monstrosities that lurk in the deep. And Squatbot, a mobile platformer with tight platforming challenges and simple controls. Pressing anywhere on the left half of the screen lets Squatbot jump left, while pressing anywhere on the right half lets Squatbot jump right. And the winner, compelling game mechanics category. Depths of Sanity.
All right. We next turn to Tabletop Award for Most Innovative Game. One of the best parts of an indie showcase is seeing the fresh viewpoint that goes into the games we see, whether it's through the use of atypical components, an experimental theme, or just simply interesting ways for players to interact with each other. Indie games can really stretch the limits of what a game is. This category celebrates the games that push those boundaries and show us something new. Our next presenter is an accomplished designer who's published many titles, including his most recent hit, Dead Man's Doubloons, which was published by Thundergriff Games. He's also been involved with BostonFIG for many years and now runs Connecticut FIG with the rest of his design team. And most recently, he ventured into the world of board game publishing with his company, Phase Shift Games. Please welcome Jason Maselli.
The Most Innovative Game is a surprisingly thought-provoking award to give out. It asks us to answer the question, what changes our experience in the most meaningful or newest way? Some of the games that helped us reach that answer are Fire Tower. A fire rages in the heart of the forest. Defend your tower and take down your opponents in this fast-paced board game of strategic pattern layering and hand management for 2 to 4 players. Lark Lamp, Magic Lantern game system. Play enchanting tabletop games on boards made of light and shadow, cast from the Lark Lamp Magic Lantern game system. And conveniently located between Fire Tower and Ice Fortress was Lukewarm. On a day gone mad with blizzards and scorchers, a young lad named Luke needs to make it home safe and warm. In this 4-player asymmetrical game, you must take on a character using your wits and resources to accomplish your goal. And the winner of the Tabletop Award for Most Innovative Game goes to Lukewarm.
presenting the Digital Award for Experimental Game Design. An award which celebrates games that push the boundaries of what we consider to be games. The standout entries in this category are those that call into question the usual interpretations of what comprise a game, offering an uncommon or unusual experience that leaves the player thinking about it long afterward. These games approach design from alternate angles, opting to diverge from the safety of well-traveled paths, and broaden the definition of what a game can be. The presenter of this award is a senior software engineer at Reveal, building the future of VR streaming. Previously at WG Cells and Xbox, she's best known for her work on the achievement service of the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One. She has seen and resolved many issues in production and still has nightmares about some of them. On the side, she's a shown metal artist, keyboardist for the Last Book Club, and sometimes makes shiny things. Please welcome Sela Davis.
It's been an incredible time reviewing the games that were submitted for experimental game design. Each of them brings something exciting to the table, and we see that unique spirit in our nominees. I pressed the wrong button, apparently. Press one back. One, two, Okay. I'm going to press the button once more. Thanks for your patience. Maybe it'll do a thing. Woo! Thank you, whoever helped me. So, our three nominees are Exposure, a game of camouflage. You are a tiny creature in a dangerous world, leading your defenseless children to safety. You must survive by morphing between light and dark forms to camouflage from your predators. But while camouflaged, you won't be able to see yourself either. Lose the ability to see where you are and learn to feel and know where you're going. Next is Fleeing Forward, a collection of 4 experimental vignette games that feature gameplay loops depicting anxiety, loneliness, and vertigo. It has no goal. It has no challenge. It has no reward. It also has no end, for the most part. Its contemplative scenes offer simple simulations that make the player experience a range of negative emotions seldom seen in video games. Finally, Hostile User Interface, a game designed to explore intentionally bad UI choices. Specifically, it uses controls chosen to trick the player into accidentally triggering Windows hotkey combinations that switch away from the game, close the game, flip the screen, and more. The winner of the Digital Award for Experimental Game Design goes to... Let's find out.
I really don't think she saw it.
Exposure, a game of camouflage.
Next up is the Tabletop Award for Best Hobby Game. Not all tabletop games are easy to learn or full of lighthearted fun. In fact, there's a large market out there for games that delve deeper and give players a much more involved experience. These games typically take a little bit more time to learn and often a lot more time to master. This category looks at games that are best suited for the hobby market. Presenting this award, we have a board game designer living here in Massachusetts. He's a designer of Invita Morte, published by Button Shy Games, and the host of the Board Game Workshop podcast. Please welcome Chris Anderson.
In the tradition of some excellent games with steeper learning curves, we've dug into the rule sets and interactions present in the submissions for Best Hobby Game. The best in this category require a strong sense of the mechanics to fully master. The nominees are Faza, FAZA is a tabletop retelling of the classic alien invasion story from the perspective of the last group of human survivors. This nail-biting cooperative game will push you and 3 of your friends to the limit as you work together over an hour and a half to defend your city and defeat the FAZA motherships and save the world. Frontiers of Sol. Frontiers of Sol is a space civilization resource management game that follows the human race as they first venture outside the solar system. It features an innovative technology tree system that is decided by the players and changes every game. Salvage, Dimensional Collapse. Salvage is a space-themed strategy game where you collect sets of stray ship parts from the board. Armed with movement, rotation, attack, and defense cards, players maneuver between debris to outwit and disarm their opponents. And the winner of the Tabletop Award for Best Hobby Game goes to FAZA.
Changing the tone a little bit, our next award is for a category that's about adding a meaningful personal touch to your gaming. The Digital Award for Innovation in Art and Narrative category recognizes games that expand on ways in which we tell a story, build a world, or engage players emotionally through the creative exploration of aesthetics and narrative. Exceptional games exemplify the interesting and novel ways visuals, audio, or storytelling can draw a player in. They also place the creative choices of their games in the spotlight and integrate those choices into the very fabric of the game. Our presenter for this award is a game developer or narrative designer specializing in short, adorable text-based games. She also works full-time on the Second Life Marketplace for Linden Lab. She also co-organizes the People's Republic of Interactive Fiction and Women in Games Boston. And she's co-con chair for the upcoming Narrative Games Conference, which will be in Boston next June. Please welcome Adri Mills.
As a lover of creativity and storytelling, it's my pleasure to be able to shine the spotlight on our nominees for innovation in art and narrative. The 3 nominees are Boyfriend Dungeon, Romancer Swords, capture the hearts of weapons to level them up in this shack and slash dungeon crawling adventure. Deathless, a surreal first-person puzzle game where you manipulate black holes to transfer objects between 2 alternate dimensions. Witness the end of time while exploring the echoes of a hauntingly beautiful world. Harness black holes to solve bizarre puzzles and traverse desolate architecture torn between universes. With reality collapsing, you must embrace the impossible to learn the truth. And finally, we have Evergate, a story-driven puzzle platforming game where you help a lost spirit navigate through a surreal and beautiful afterlife, solve challenging puzzles, and unlock memories of the spirit's past life. And the winner of the Digital Award for Innovation in Art and Narrative goes to Boyfriend Dungeon.
They've achieved the singularity. If you're looking for something to play around the table with your kids or parents, you want to pay attention to our nominees for the Tabletop Award for Best Family Game. One of the unique things about tabletop games is the way in which they allow families to interact with each other. They bring together parents, children, siblings, and anyone else you want to sit around your family room with. These are games that can be played with the whole family, young and old. The presenter for this award is a media personality who's been a staple in the board game world for many years. As a former writer for Purple Pawn and the owner of A Pawn's Perspective, he focuses on board game reviews, events, and news. He's also a self-proclaimed geek who loves all things toys and games. and somehow manages to raise 4 kids in his spare time. Please welcome Rob Kalajian.
It can be hard to balance the interests of different age groups and play styles, but the nominees for Best Family Game manage with great skill. Born to Serve. Born to Serve is a board game brawl between 2 to 5 jobless superheroes for the last job in town at the local restaurant. Waiting tables. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Hibernation. Take the role of a bear waking from your winter sleep, slim and hungry. It is up to you to build a deck and race to gather food to be the first to hibernate while fending off foes along the way. That's Wizard. That's Wizard is a 2-player simultaneous action game in which each player uses their custom-built deck of spells to defeat their opponent in a wizard duel. And the winner of the Tabletop Award for Best Family Game goes to Hibernation.
The Digital Award for Multiplayer and Connected Gameplay, a category that recognizes games which promote shared play. These are games that delight those actively playing, and they encourage bystanders to feel invested in the action. Exceptional games in this category hone in on the social aspects of those experiences, bring out the competitive or cooperative sides in people, encouraging new players to enter the game, and drawing them back with a chance of one more round. To announce this award, we have a UI artist at Demiurge Studios who's been designing and implementing user experiences for the Boston area game industry for over 10 years. In her natural habitat, you can find her throwing dice with her D&D crew or working on an overly ambitious craft project. Please welcome Megan Glenn.
Although I'm usually a fan of a good set of dice, the world of digital games has plenty of ways for people to get together and enjoy a shared experience. The nominees for the multiplayer and connected gameplay do just that, and they are Red Hot Ricochet, an intense game of ricochet duels where you need wise shooting, lucky bounces, and a bit of trigonometry to win. Each player is armed with a gun that shoots bouncing bullets and must use rocks around them both as cover and a way to hit their opponents where they least expect it. Save your nuts. It's squirrels against dogs in a physics-based capture the nut battle frenzy. Make daring plays alongside your teammates, grab food power-ups, dig to find special items, and tackle your opponents to steal their nuts. Swim Sanity, a 4-player underwater party shooter that allows you to control an aquatic hero called a mooba. Moobas can use a variety of different power-ups and weapons, and when fully powered up, they can unleash Swim Sanity, a powerful super move with devastating effects. And the winner of the Digital Award for Multiplayer and Connected Gameplay goes to, survey says, Save your nuts!
Our last award in the Tabletop category is the Tabletop Award for Best Game in Progress. One thing we strive for here at BostonFIG is to showcase not just complete games, but games that designers continue to work on. Many of you might have noticed games in development around today even. Perhaps they're still written on cards or they're using pieces from other games. In keeping with the indie spirit, we present these games to you so that everyone can share in the joy of their creation. The presenter for this award is a well-known tabletop game designer in the Boston scene. He designed Moonquake Escape, which was recently published by Breaking Games. And he designed Flashlights and Fireflies, which was published by GameRight. He's also a member of the leadership for the Game Makers Guild, and he works regularly with BostonFIG, bringing in new designers and teams to showcase. Please welcome Jeff Johnston.
There's always room for something new or some improvement on our work. Whether just starting out on its dozenth revision, we try to highlight outstanding efforts like these. The nominees for Best Game in Progress are D-Enabled. D-Enabled is a dexterity party game where players must overcome a growing list of wacky mutations and still be able to play a card. Prove that you are the greatest mad scientist by being the last one standing. Lore Stones of the Lost Lands. Lore Stones of the Lost Lands is a 2 to 6 player tile laying game about controlling area and activating special powers. Unlike most tile laying games, players are constantly interacting and interfering with one another. Whale Rescuers. Whale Rescuers is a cooperative card game in which players combine cards to cut a whale free from entangling fishing gear and collect scientific research samples